Hi guys, today we are going to finish our notes on atmosphere. Today we're going to talk about pressure changes, temperature changes, and the water cycle, which you should know a good bit about. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is pressure changes. Okay, and here we're just talking about the pressure in the air. So because the force of gravity pulls molecules to the Earth's surface, most of the air molecules are concentrated or really close to that surface. So air pressure is greatest. Oh, why did it do that? In the troposphere. And then we'll write air pressure decreases as you go higher in the troposphere. Okay, so when you are in high altitudes, like if you climb a mountain, it gets really hard to breathe because the air pressure decreases with altitude, right? So there's less oxygen in the atmosphere. So let's write that. Air pressure decreases equals less oxygen. Okay. And so mountain climbers, they spend months at high altitude camps so they can prepare for climbing a really big mountain so they can get used to the different air conditions. So I don't know if you've heard about people that climb Mount Everest. Sometimes they take oxygen tanks with them because the oxygen is so thin and the pressure is just so small in these mountains that it's really, really hard to breathe. Okay, so now let's change our color. Let's talk about temperature changes. Okay, so like pressure, the temperature is going to change with the altitude. Okay, so the Earth's surface is obviously heated by the sun. So the troposphere gets most of its heat from the Earth's surface. So in the troposphere, the temperature decreases as you travel further from the ground. So we'll write temp decreases as you travel farther from the ground. And we're going to write troposphere because it's not the same in every layer, remember. The stratosphere, though, is heated by the ozone layer, so it absorbs a lot of that radiation and the heat from the sun. So because the ozone layer is, remember, located at the top of the stratosphere, the temperature increases as you go higher. So the stratosphere temperature increases as you go higher. And the mesosphere is going to have the opposite reaction, right? So the closest part to the ozone layer is going to have the most warmth, right? Because the ozone layer is warm. But then when you move to the end of the mesosphere, it's going to be cold. So the temperature decreases as you travel higher. So we'll write mesosphere temp decreases as you go higher. Okay, and then temperatures in the thermosphere and the exosphere increase as you travel farther away from Earth's surface because you're moving closer to the sun, although there are few molecules, so it actually won't feel hot. So we'll just write thermosphere and exosphere. Temp increases, and then we'll write, let's write few molecules won't feel hot. Okay? All right, so that's it for temperature changes and pressure changes. So let's talk about our last subject, and then we are done for the day. So let's talk about that water cycle. You guys, we shouldn't have to touch on this a whole lot. I just want to give you a couple vocab words, and then you'll be good to go. You guys should know the water cycle. So we know what evaporation is, right? Evaporation is when a liquid changes to a vapor through heating. I'm actually going to write these, and then that's all we're doing today. So evaporation is when a liquid changes to vapor through heating. Okay, so the sun's rays, they heat the water in the ocean and rivers and lakes and streams, right? And they turn that water into vapor that rises into the atmosphere, okay? Plants also release water vapors into the air through transpiration. So transpiration is the release of water vapors into the air by plants. Okay, so then we also have evaporation, right? Well, first let's talk about condensation. So we have condensation. Condensation is, how are we going to describe this? Let's call it when a gas changes into a liquid through cooling. Okay. After water goes into the air through evaporation, the air is going to cool down, right? Because the temperature is colder up in the air. It's going to cool down. The water molecules are going to clump together, and they're going to form droplets of liquid, and they're going to form clouds, and they're going to come down as rain or snow or sleet, right? And that is precipitation. Precipitation. And we'll say this is when water droplets in the sky, well, let's say in the clouds. In the clouds get heavy and fall. Okay? They're going to fall from the atmosphere back to Earth, and they're going to be rain, snow, hail, sleet, all these things, okay? So when precipitation falls to the ground, it gets absorbed, and it's funneled into streams and rivers, and they eventually flow back into the ocean, right? So water flowing above the ground is called runoff, while the water flowing below the surface is called groundwater, okay? So warm air passes over the ground and the ocean, evaporating the water back into the atmosphere, and it begins the process all over again, hence the water cycle, right? So water never enters or leaves the ecosystem, it just gets cycled through. So you guys should be pretty comfortable with the water cycle. I hope you guys are feeling comfortable with pressure changes and temperature changes. That's all the notes that we're going to take for today. That actually ends that chapter. So I will see you all in the meeting.